Well, remember that little Christmas tree we had in our blind bags last week? This week I did a remake on it and I love how this turned out. So stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. So this is that little Christmas tree that was in the blind bag I opened on the channel last week. And I told you then I was going to redo it this week. I'm not waiting until I do Christmas projects to do this. I really want to see how this is going to turn out. So I've found just a chunk of a one of those ginormous craft sticks from Walmart. It was just a piece that was offcut and some of that blue poster tack. And I'm going to stick this on here. This way, I don't have to touch the tree again until I'm done and everything is dry. So the first step, we need to clean this. And my preferred method, at least the one I'm using today, is isopropyl alcohol. This is 70% because this is all I could get back when everything was, in short supply. And I've still got like 2 bottles of it. So something like this. And I'm using a cotton ball. I'm just dabbing it on. One of the advantages of isopropyl or rubbing alcohol is it evaporates almost immediately. So I can clean this off. It'll take off any dirt, any grease, any oil, any whatever might be on here. And by the time I get my paint opened and my brush dug out, it's ready to go. So I have this multi-surface green paint that Plaid sent me, the bright green from Folk Art. And since I know for a fact everything's dry, I can just open it up and use the paint from the lid. I'm using one of the brushes they sent me. This one happens to be just a round brush, a number 4. Any brush that you're comfortable using will work for this. And I'm going to give this a base coat of green. I want to make this all green so that I can kind of cover up their attempt at making snow on the branches. So I'm going to get a nice coat of this green paint, coating the whole tree. When this is dry, I will come back and we will add some colors that will bring out the details on our tree. So I'll be back when this is dry. All right, our green paint is completely dry. In fact, it's dried for a couple of days, so I know it's completely dry. I've got a lighter green. You could use any lighter green. I happen to have Ceramicoat's Lime Sorbet that Plaid sent me. And since I know for sure that this is dry, I'm going to use it straight out of the lid. I am going to grab a small brush. This one happens to be a Plaid number 2. And I'm going to dip into the lid of the paint. And then I'm going to brush it off on a paper towel. And I didn't get enough wiped off, but that's okay. Keep a paper towel next to you when you're doing this step. You want very little paint on your brush, just a hint. We're going to add some snow later on, but I want some definition. Since this tree does have texture, we want to show that off. Now, I didn't wipe off enough off of my brush, but that's okay, because what I can do I don't want the green to really be a separate color. I want it to kind of blend and just look like it's the sun hitting the branches. Let's see if I've got that. Hopefully I've got that where you guys can see it. Or hair. All right, now I want this paint to get completely dry before I go on to the next step. So I'm going to let this dry and then I'll be back and we'll add the next step. All right, our light green paint is completely dry now. So now I'm going to do the first step of our snow. We're going to put some white paint on where our snow is going to be. Then we're going to put a clear finish and then we're going to add a little bit of sparkle to our snow after the clear finish. So I've got the white apple barrel paint and I've got a really tiny brush. This one is a #1 liner from Plaid. And for this I am just going to touch. Remember this tree had some really heavy snow on the branches, but I don't want it that heavy. I just want just a little bit. And like I said, this is just our first layer of our snow. I'm trying to make sure I'm staying under camera, but still being able to watch what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the tips of each branch, but just the very tips and then the very top of the tree. So rather than making you sit here and watch me do all this, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to get these branches tipped and I'm going to let this paint dry completely, and then I'll come back and we can go to our next step. All right, here's a better look at what this looks like now that the white paint is on and dried. And I have just some satin Mod Podge here. I don't need very much, so I'm going to use it out of the lid. If I get any paint transferred in, I can always clean that off the lid. But I'm just going to do a quick coat of a satin. You can use satin or gloss. I didn't really think I wanted the high gloss, the really shiny of a gloss, but I want a little bit of shine. I want this to look like it's a ceramic Christmas tree, but I don't want it to be super, super shiny at the same time. And remember, with Mod Podge, always, always, always a fairly thin, even coat. You can always put on more. You can always do a second coat if you don't think it's got enough on it when it dries. But Mod Podge, in my experience, has a really nasty habit of remaining sticky no matter what I put it on. And there is no white paint on my brush, so I can put that lid back on. That's how quick that was. I'm going to let this dry completely before I come back and we do our next step, which will add a little bit of sparkle to our snow as well as a little dimension. So when this is dry, I'll be back. All right, my Mod Podge is dried now, and you could leave this at this point. That would be perfectly acceptable. I'm going to go one more step, because I like the effect. I hate glitter, but I am going to use just the tiniest amount of glitter, and I'm going to use it very carefully. I've got a piece of paper I'm going to work over, so when I'm done, I can dump whatever's left that's loose back in the tube. I really don't like glitter. It's too much on most projects, it's, in my opinion, and also it's bad for the environment, and it just, I don't know, I'm not a fan. But there are some projects where glitter is really just what you need to make the project pop. And that's, I think this is one of those. So I've got the same satin Mod Podge. That way, if I don't cover all of it with the glitter, it won't look different than the rest of the tree. So I'm going back, and where I've got the white paint, I am just dotting a small dot of satin Mod Podge. Now you will need to work not super quick, but you don't want this to dry obviously until you get before you get your glitter onto it. Don't put too much Mod Podge on at this point. You just want a drop. And I'm going to have to, I may have to go back off camera a second time to make sure I've got this. All right, close the Mod Podge, get the brush out of the way. You don't want to get glitter on either of those. And now, and this is the finest glitter I had, the smallest size of little chunks, and it is a clear crystal. And yeah, I just got it all over. All right. That's more than enough. And I am going to let my Mod Podge dry and then kind of bump off whatever's loose. If I think I need a little more, I can put more on. And when this Mod Podge and glitter concoction is completed, I will come back. We will look at the final tree and see how it looks. So I'll be right back. All right, everything is dry and I love how this turned out. Hopefully the camera's picking up this sparkle. It's just, it looks so cool. Excuse the background noise. There's so much going on around here today. I don't know why everyone has decided to be noisy. I swear they wait until I'm ready to film. So here we go. Let's take it off of the little stick. And if this got painted on, that's okay. I can go ahead and get it off. I might have spent a little time off camera getting the ends of the blue off, but there we go. It's ready to display in the dollhouse for Christmas. Be sure and check the blog post. There will be some photos there, and I'll have a little bit more step-by-step for those of you that like written directions in addition to the video. If you like the video, be sure and leave me a like and leave a comment. What would you like to see in future videos? If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.